on the road, but the Knicks were able to get the job done, beating Milwaukee 116-94. The Knicks are now sitting at 4-4. They're third in the East, but we're not necessarily concentrated on how they start. It's how the Knicks finish, right? But I thought that was an excellent game by the Knicks. The Knicks were up by 19 at the half. So they had an excellent first half, great ball movement. Um, all five starters finished in double figures, which is a great sign as well for this Knicks team. And then we got to see some minutes from Tyler Kolek, who played 16 minutes on Friday. Josh Hart played 33 minutes, finished with 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 11 points. OG Anunoby played 32 minutes. He finished with 14 points, 5 assists, 6 rebounds. Carl Anthony Towns was very assertive in Friday's game and very aggressive. Played 32 minutes, finished with a double double of 32 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. Mikal Bridges played 37 minutes, finished with 17 points. Jalen Brunson played 32 points. Was an off night for Jalen, but he did finish with 15 points, 9 assists. And Deuce, another hot game from Deuce coming off the bench, played 28 minutes, finished with 14 points. Tyler Kolek, like I mentioned, played 16 minutes, finished with 8 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. And Matt Ryan did get some playing time, played 6 minutes. He did hit a three. And Pacome and Huckporty, 5 minutes and 3 minutes apiece for those two fellas. But yeah, tell me your thoughts on Friday's game, watching it, the energy, and just how the Knicks handle business at home at the Garden.
It was refreshing. Um, they came out strong, and like they just, it was like you don't want to say you got the game, but it was just like that confidence that in which they were playing.
Right.
I don't know if it's because, and it could be because Milwaukee's struggling. So sometimes the team sense like that team is struggling. So we're gonna put on our it's a great game, which they do every night. But it was just a great like game from the tip. Like they controlled the tempo, controlled the ball. They came out aggressive, and you know they were the ones who dictated the game as they should. Not even just because you're home, but just overall. And this was like a great defensive effort for them. I mean, and I guess this because this that was their identity like last season, just that aggressiveness, and because they was in a top echelon, so maybe this would be the turning point for them because it was just like it was just so refreshing. They dominated just from out the rip, and you mentioned Tyler, but for me, it was three people because Cat, I mean, like he's like a Brunson. We know what he's pretty much gonna do, but Brunson to me is like I guess kind of struggling if you want to put it in a kind of nice context. But overall, I think what stood out was OG, McKellen, and even Brunson. OG, being a primary defender for Giannis and just his defense on him. He held him to 24 points. So, like, because the Greek, we know he can go off. And Mikel, people's, saying, about Mikel, the picks, da da da. He, these players are gonna come around. So him being a primary defender on Dame held him to 19 points. And then with Brunson, although he's struggling, he didn't force it like, he said, let me just facilitate. And that shows in him having 9 assists. So this was, although he didn't have his best game, this was still a good game for him. Yeah, he scored 15. Sometimes you don't have to score a lot to be an impact. So like those three guys like really stood out for me. I mean Kolek did too, but I'm talking about as like starters. So it was just nice play involvement around across the board. We have five of the starters, but then you had your a bench guy had in double figures. So six players were in double figures. So it was just a nice overall like team win for them. And let's hope this can carry over to today.
Yeah, Deuce actually, out of the 8 games so far that the Knicks have played, Deuce has scored in double figures in 6 of those games so far. So that speaks volumes, and that's also actually a good sign for the Knicks. But the Knicks also only had 7 turnovers in that game, which was that's the key also, and that was something that I remember last year I kept harping on, was that the Knicks have to keep the turnovers to 10 or less. When
Oh
you
yeah.
have more than 10 turnovers, you're bound to lose because those turnovers, of course, turning into points for the opponent. So that can't happen. But the Knicks were 47% from the field goal line. They were 14 for 36 from the 3-point line, 16 for 19 from the free throw line. And I think the one of the stats that especially stood out was that the Knicks had 18 second chance points to the Bucks only having 8. And that's, big because we constantly talk about how the Knicks don't have the height. The rebounding was something else that I was concerned with. But Brooke Lopez just looked a step too slow. He was behind. He couldn't keep up with Cat. He Cat was just flying right by him each time he was driving to the basket. And I thought Cat had a nice, well-rounded game as he took the ball to the basket. I just like his game overall, and I think there's still this question of people saying, does he belong here on this team? Which I don't know how much more he needs to prove that he belongs on this team. And I think part of that is rooted in that there's a lot of Knicks fans that hold on to this attachment from previous players that we've had. And there's still this deep embedded attachment to Randall and to Devo. And you got to let it go.
And you got to
Sometimes
give these guys a chance.
right, exactly. Change is good, and you can't keep having this question mark with, well, he's here, but we're watching you, buddy. And that's kind of like how a lot of these Knicks fans out there are when they look at Cat. It's almost like, yeah, he could do that, but I don't think they shouldn't have let go of Randall. They shouldn't have let go of Debo. You know what I mean? I think if they would have kept him and maybe added him, like we can't keep still harping on the past and previous players that we had on this team. It's like, let's move on. Let's move past us having Randall and us having Dante DiVincenzo, and we're not here to play the comparison game of, well, Randall does this great and Kat does this great and Devo does this and Mikel does that. It doesn't matter about who does what and what. It's about who's here now on the roster and what they're gonna do on this Knicks team. And can we get back to playing true Knicks basketball? And we've had that discussion. Yeah, Dante DiVincenzo is a lot more grittier. He does have good defense, but Mikel to me is a better overall well-rounded player. We're not just settling for threes. And I think that this Knicks team, we can't keep bringing guys to this team who their strong suit is they can get you the threes or they can get you a jump shot. Like you need to have a little bit more under your belt. And that's one
One
of the things that I
team
was
player.
saying. Right. That's one of the things that I was saying with Deuce McBride. Like, I like that he's also showing that he can stop and pop. He's not just settling for the three, which he did a lot of his first few seasons here with the Knicks. So I think we just need to, like, again, I said it the last live. We have to trust the process, trust the front office and what they have plans for this team, and also for the players itself and what they're gonna do. So this whole like um harping on, well, we should have kept Randall, we should have enough. You know what I mean? Like trust in what Cat is gonna do for this team, trust in what Mikel is gonna do for this team, and trust in what the guys who were here are gonna do for this team. Josh Hart, trust in what um Jalen Brunson's gonna do, OG Ananobi, what they're gonna do for this team, and and things of that nature. But anyways, this also was the fourth time so far that the Knicks have held a team under 100 points. And that speaks volumes because that was one of my other things that I had brought up, and that the Knicks, I don't know what's happening. I kind of touched on it a little bit, but I feel like the way the game of NBA basketball is played now is so many threes that the games are having these high scores, final score games of, 115 plus is the final score. And I don't know if it's also because there's a lack of defense that's not happening as well with teams. And you look at a lot of other games that's not just with the Knicks, but just around the league. There's so many guys that's just shooting the threes. I saw Anthony Edwards, he had like 9 threes his last game that he played. And I'm like, that's all we is it just a game of threes now? I don't know if something changed and I missed it, but I just think that it's so pivotal that the Knicks really own in on their defense, which again, I said I'm going to be a strong advocate for defense for them this year, and that they really own in and set the tone for defense. You know,
Yeah,
you play each team several times during the season, but I thought they did a really good job on Friday, not allowing Milwaukee to score 100 plus points, and that's what they
yeah.
need to keep doing.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying, like a great defensive effort for them because you held them to under 100 points, and that's what the Knicks, if that's what they're trying to get back to last year's mantra and their identity. That was a part of it, their defense. So if they can get back to that, yeah, they got up to a slow start this year, so far this season, but you know, things will start clicking. Jalen, he's been a harsh critic on himself, and and I guess rightfully so. As a player, that's what you're your worst critic. For the most part, you don't need to demean what you're doing wrong, and not even wrong. You know that you're struggling and things like that. So once he figures it out, he's just getting up to a slow start. That's how I'm equating it to. In the last what's that 8 games he's like 6 for 20 from behind the arc. He's shooting at a 41%. So the percentages are low, but he eventually figure it out. Again, patience is key. As fans, we lack it. But I think he gonna definitely get it together, and that's what you watch film for to see. With your spots, and same thing with Cat likes it, and they're coming along great. You ask me.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I don't know if you took a look at the private chat I sent you, T-Velox. But yeah,
What?
the Knicks, I think what they showed on Friday was excellent ball movement. And that's another thing that I want to see the Knicks getting back to is like really good ball movement. They had that on lock last year. And I think a big part of that was also because they had Isaiah Hartenstein, who was a really good passer. And they have guys who are more than capable of passing very well this season as well. But the ball movement and just also the unselfish extra pass, which is one of my keys to the game. On Thursday, I was saying I would like to see the extra pass and for the Knicks to not be to play unselfish basketball. So I thought the Knicks did a really good job with just you know just making an extra pass and just doing the little things and playing unselfish basketball. Like I said, the Knicks were 47% from the field goal percentage. They were 14 for 46 from 3 pointers at 30%. They were 84% from the free throw line. They were 16 for 19. I thought they could have went to the free throw line a little bit more, but work in progress. They did out rebound the Bucks 48 to 41. They finished with 14 offensive rebounds and 34 defensive rebounds. Had 35 assists. Again, shows that the Knicks moved the ball. They had 3 blocks, 7 steals, and only 7 turnovers. Milwaukee had 12 turnovers. And the Knicks had 7 steals. The Bucks only had one. The Knicks still got beaten with points in the paint, 54 to 46. But I thought they did a better job controlling the paint defensively than they normally do. I know OG did get in some early fouls early on in the game. And, that was frustrating. You could tell it was frustrating him, but he still stayed the course, which is important. You have to do that. You can't allow a team to get you out of your game. And I had brought that up a few games ago with Huck Porty. He had came in and he committed a foul, and it was a BS call, but it was a foul. And I remember that foul took him out of his game. And I don't remember who on the Knicks was trying to like, kind of like let him know, like shake it off. You know what I mean? Like keep going, don't worry about that. And he got a few touches, but I just remember like mentally I could tell that kind of like it was an off night, but I think it was an off night because mentally he got thrown off by that. And maybe there was this pressure of I need to go out and do what I need to do and contribute on the floor. You know, and I know that's not going to happen with him every time, but I did notice that in one of the last games he had went in, not counting Friday, as he did get some minutes. He only played 3 minutes on Friday against the Bucks, and Daddy A got 5 minutes. Matt Ryan played 6. Jericho Sims is still getting a lot of minutes, 16, which I think that those should be cut down to maybe about 10, because you can give Huck Porty a few more of those minutes. So yeah, I would like to see Sims minutes get cut down by 6, or
Gee,
maybe even slim it down to maybe 12 minutes. So then you could give Huck Porty, 7, 8 minutes. So yeah, Tibbs could spread the minutes around. It don't have to be so much just on Sims, Sims is just not good. I think he got blocked and he was able to get the ball back and get the dunk, but he's just readable and there hasn't been any advancement. And Tibbs is giving him the floor to perform. And unfortunately, he's gonna be removed. They're gonna have to part ways. It's not gonna work out. It's kind of like, it's a job, just like it's a business, it's a job as well. Just because you play in basketball, it's still a job. So I think the Knicks front office, the best thing is to move on from Sims as quickly as possible. Like I said, he's still on this team by circumstance because we don't know exactly, we have a somewhat of a timeline of when Mitchell Robinson is going to come back, but that's no certainty as he may be on limited minutes and you got to tread lightly with him. And then, again, and I know Diva has told me this, when Precious comes back, Sims minutes will get lower down. But still, I think we just need to move on from him. Let's not keep holding on to decades. And I feel like that's what the Knicks are doing. When
yeah.
you look at Friday's game and Tibbs playing the rookies a little bit more, do you think that Tibbs played them a little bit more because the Knicks played such a strong game and were up by so much? Or was that Tibbs starting to trust the rookies?
I think it's a combination of both because and Tibbs tend to like what you do in practice, and then he likes what he sees in practice, and I guess that's part of like the trust and just again what you're doing in practice speaks volume and it translates over to on the court for most people. For most players it does, and especially with Kolick, I guess he's maybe because the pain is out. We don't that could be part of the reason why Kolick is getting those minutes. I think it's being pain out, the trust, and just like it could be they had a large margin. So it's a problem. It's like a combination of all of those. And just like he's like I said, just bringing that to the court. I like it because that's the only way they're gonna grow and and get better and they could learn their matchups with different players like different teams. So if you play them again next season, so it just helps you. Again, it helps your game out overall, not let alone the team, but it just helps you see like your strength and your weaknesses playing against that opponent. So I'm definitely liking like how he's giving them minutes. I hope it continues, because I like Cole. Look like he reminds me, and it's so early to say who he reminds you of, but you could tell he's gonna be like his confidence. In other words,
Hmm.
like he reminds me of a Deuce. He lacks a lot of confidence, and that's what you need in this league. Because nobody's not gonna stroke your ego. You got to earn that. So I like Tibbs is giving him the minutes.
Yeah, and you know what? I think also Tibbs giving the rookies the minutes when he can. I think it should be as often as possible. I think Tibbs doing that also helps you be able to strengthen the bench because right now our bench is quite weak. You really only have Deuce, who is really who you can say that could come off the bench and could score. You don't really have a solid 4 to 5 guys who you can say, oh yeah, they're gonna come off the bench and they could carry the weight for a period of time. So I think that playing the rookies, it's gonna take time, but I think, and I said this before, I think the rookies that we have now, yeah, they're gonna need development, but I don't think they're gonna need development like the case of some of the past rookies that we've had that just weren't ready. And I think the Knicks front office have done a good job moving away from getting players who need a lot of development because of where they're trying to go as a team, as an organization. They don't really, I haven't seen them bringing in guys who, okay, he needs a lot of work, a lot of training. We need guys who are ready, who you could put on the floor now, who are not going to look crazy lost out there. They don't know what's going on. And I do agree with you. Kolek exudes this confidence. That's really good to see on this team. I do think that Kolek needs to work on his defense. I think his defense has to get stronger. He has to learn how to cut the driving lane off. Just be more aggressive and grittier defensively. I think his defense is a little too passive. And I think if he adds that along with continue to grow his game, and he will on both sides, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. And he will also continue to belong on this next team. But I do think that Kolek has to work on his defense. And again, I haven't seen enough of Huck Porty and Daddier for me to give a full assessment because I feel like they haven't gotten enough minutes. And then Ryan, um, I can tell he can shoot lights out from the three. He just has to get the opportunity. So this is why I'm also an advocate as well as defense for this entire season. I want to see the rookies be able to get the minutes to show that they can be an addition on the bench and you can put them in and not just we're gonna be the guys that come in. We're the C squad when the team is up by 25 and there's 5 minutes left in the game. There's a huge difference. So I want to see Tibbs be able to give those guys some minutes. But I want to know from you, um, when you watch Friday's game, what worked well? Because I don't necessarily think Friday's game was a case of Milwaukee was off. I think it was just the Knicks played better. Offensively, defensively, the Knicks came out with high energy. They set the tone early. They kept their foots on Milwaukee's necks. But what worked in on Friday that the Knicks need to keep implementing and building on moving forward? Case in point tonight against Indiana,
Well,
who
defense.
have some questionable guys for injuries, but we know how that works when 5 o'clock hits and then they'll be playing. But go ahead.
Well, definitely the Knicks got to get back to that defensive like style that they are known for, because defense, that's a part of helping you win those games. Yeah, you could play great defense and better offense, but if you're able to lock in on those primary guys, I like how Giannis and Dame, you know, um, you got to bring that effort, for 48 minutes. There can't be no lapse or whatever, or when you pick and choose. So I think if they could just get back to like that gritty, like just locking defenders down, like, and you because you forcing them to take the shots that they don't normally take, and you know um just like you getting them rattled. So if you could just get to them before they get to you, then
Right.
you're ahead. So I think that's one of the primary things. Like the Knicks definitely have to like get that defense up and work on that. Like, cause you got two stoppers. If they could just, even Josh, he could, like he does a lot of the little things that when he's not in double doubles, but he makes up for it. That yeah, might have had 11 points but if he could have 9 rebounds and like 6 assists, that's great. And if it results in a win, so it's
Mm.
that again, the defense is where I think that they have to like hone in on, because you can hold like this is what you said, the fourth game they held opponents to under
Yeah.
100. So that speaks volumes for them.
Are you still comfortable with Josh Hart being in the starting lineup?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's small for his size, but again, it's those little things. And yeah, even when pressures come back, I still would like to see Josh in that starting lineup and have pressures come off. You know, um, yeah, I am, because it's the little things that he do.
Yeah.
And he's selling to his own, and again, he's a hustler. He's like that engine. If if I for lack of better words, but yeah, I am.
Yeah, I think Josh also, what I'm impressed with this year so far, what I'm seeing, Josh is taking his shot. He's
Mm,
not passing the ball so much. If he's open, he's taking it. And I'm watching that when he gets the ball, like I'm like, all right, let me see if he's gonna pass the ball. But no, he's taking his shot as he should, because teams last year were daring him to shoot.
oh yeah,
And I think that pressure to some degree worked in his favor because Josh would take those 3-point shots and they helped us, especially in round one and the playoffs. But I think that he has to be assertive in that way where, again, we're not expecting him to give us a ton of points. We know he does a lot of the other little intangibles. But if you're going to be open for mid range or three, take it. Bet on yourself, and take it. And I think that the same way that the front office was risky and decided to bring over do the trades and things that they did. That's the way, like players like Josh, you have to be like, bet on yourself and take the risk and do it. And do it with confidence and be intentional when you're taking the shots that you take. So again, I don't question this team offensively. I know what they can do and what they're capable of. We have several guys who are more than capable of putting up points for this team when you need it and getting you a basket when you need it. I think the biggest thing is defensively. And I do agree with you. I think that Josh should continue to keep starting in the starting lineup,
yeah.
bring Precious off the bench. And now you have Precious and Deuce. And I would say Kolick with an asterisk because Tibbs is still feeling him out and trying to build that trust for him. But I do want to see at times where you have Precious and Cat playing together.
Oh yeah.
Just as we know Precious and OG plays well together, I would like to see them both playing together because Precious can also do a lot of the dirty work that's needed for this next team. It was nice to see him on the bench, cheering guys on Friday. But yeah, and of course, Melo, he's like a big cheerleader. Melo's like he's like the veteran, the Knicks veteran you always see at home games.
Yeah, yeah.
So like it's kind of like how Sue Bird, who's never played for the Liberty, is always at Liberty games but cheering on the players. It's funny how like former players they're always at the games, but Melo's like that guy now. And I feel like Melo also badly wants to get out there and play. He looked like he ready. Like put me in, coach. He just ready to put on some sneakers and just get in the game. But yeah, I think that Josh needs to continue to stay in the starting lineup because they need his energy. He is the heart of this team, literally, and that he keeps them moving and that he does the other little things. Like I think there was a play on Friday where Cat had drove and the ball like swiveled around and went out the popped out of the rim. And I watched it. It looked like Giannis tipped the ball in, but it was actually Josh. And I'm like, you see, those are the little things that I'm talking about. He has springs on his feet. He's able to get the ball back in, which is nice. But I want him to continue to stay in the starting lineup and, be
You
able
know,
to go ahead.
no, you know what I like about Cat? He's a great passer too. I don't know
Yeah.
if you noticed that.
Hmm.
Like, can we talk about his passing? It's like he got eyes in back of his head. He reminds me of like a iHeart. iHeart was a great passer, and I think Cat is the same way. I don't know if it's being made, and it's his height that plays a factor. You know, for a big guy, it's like he just like flips the ball, like you know, and it doesn't result in a turnover. It's like they were waiting for that. So so that's another thing that he brings to the table. You know, his passing and just amongst a lot. He brings a lot to the table. So yeah, I just love his passing.
Yeah, and that's why I said he belongs here.
Exactly.
That question of does he belong on the Knicks or does he belong in New York? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I don't know why like there's this question of his capabilities and his skill set that he brings here to this team because I'm not only impressed with the fact that he goes on a post, he can do the floater, the hook shot, the 3-point shot that looks, I feel very confident when he's shooting the three. I'm not like, I'm never like, I don't think he should have shot that. It's the timing of his shots, the decision making of his shots that I love. And I just think that his passing is another level as well. And there was that big question mark that I think a lot of Knicks fans had of like, oh my gosh, we lost iHeart, so now we're not going to have that passing. And that was one of my questions as far as like how was the offense going to flow without that ball movement that Isaiah Hartenstein brought to this Knicks team.
Yeah.
That was a big part of why the Knicks was very successful was the ball movement. And the Knicks haven't owned in on that yet. They're getting there. They're a work in progress. They're building up and they're finding their chemistry. But I agree with you. I think Karl Anthony Towns, his passing is I love his passing. I love the timing on what he does in games and just the fact that he has this smart high basketball IQ that he's able to bring to the table. So I for sure he belongs in this Knicks team. There's no question of whether or not he belongs. He absolutely belongs in this Knicks team, for sure. So great pickup by the Knicks for securing him because Lord knows they waited too long to get another center. They were banking on iHeart, which we already spoke about that. We already knew iHeart was going to get the bag. And actually, the other guy on this Knicks team who's kind of in that same position, like Isaiah Hartenstein was last year is Precious Achua. If he has a really good season this year, he's going to be up for grabs by other teams who are going to want to acquire him and he's going to be able to get the bag. So as long as he plays really well, as we saw he was able to do last year, he can take it to another level this year and skyrocket and he'll be up for grabs and at the end of the season. But tonight, the Knicks play the Indiana Pacers at 5. It's a nice early matinee game. The Knicks are on the road, so they'll be playing the Pacers, who we beat the last time back in October 25th. I want to say it was we played them, and that was a pretty good game that we beat them. But Indiana lost to Charlotte Friday, 83-103, so they got spanked by 20, but they did win their previous game against Orlando 111-118. That was back on Wednesday. And then prior to that they beat Dallas um that Monday. So, I'm sure they're going to be looking to get revenge against the Knicks,
Yeah.
being that we beat them the first time. Halliburton, I don't know if he's going to have another scoreless game, you know. I think that he's going to come out and do what he needs to do. They're sitting at 4-5 right now. Um, yeah, they're sitting at 4-5. They're basically tied with Charlotte right now, who they just lost to. So I don't know. Can the Knicks go and get their second win against the Pacers tonight?
Yeah, they can. Again, you got to exploit a team for whatever is worth. Like Halliburton, he's still struggling because he's dealing with some back issues. He played yesterday. He didn't have a great game. He was 0 for 4 again from behind the arc. But you got to exploit him. If he's suited up, then guess what? Then that means you're able to play, right? So Mikal got it. What he did the last game when he was locked him, be that lockdown defender. Um, Pascal, he's a tough matchup. He's like a player. He's like a cat. He's gonna score. So, but you do your best as a defender as you can because he finds a way to score whichever way. He has a lot. In his tricks in his bag. But again, I think that it's doable. They could take the paces. They have a lot of guys day to day, but you can't bank on that. But if your defense, if you hone on that, and you're able to lock these guys down, then yeah, they could walk away with the win.
Right. I know for the Pacers, there have been some questionable injuries for Obi
Okay.
Toppin, Nembhard, and TJ McConnell are listed as questionable for tonight's game. So, and then I know Neesmith, Isaiah Jackson, and Weissman are out.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, to me, the Knicks should just be able to get this win. There's no reason why you should be allowing the B and C squad on Indiana to take control and beat you. I know for the Knicks, I know Cameron Payne is still listed as questionable with this hamstring injury. And then Deuce, I saw he was listed as questionable because of
For
some,
illness, right?
yeah, some undisclosed illness that they said he has. So I'm not sure um, what happened with Deuce. So yeah, but I don't know. What do you think is the key if those guys are out? We have who we have. What are the keys for tonight's game?
Well, definitely, like I said, it starts with your defense. Um, watch, they've done great last game, 7 turnovers. So just be careful with the ball. And speaking of the ball, ball movement. I think when a player, and somebody said that when a player, I think it was Sam Mitchell, I was listening to him. He says 9 times out of 10, when a player touches the ball, even if he don't shoot it, his confidence level goes up because just to know that he was able to touch that ball, he feels a part of the offense and he feels involved. He said even if he don't score, so that's important. Just that ball movement. Um, you don't have to shoot it, but again, you're part of that offense. So I think that's definitely important. Again preach defense. Um, you know, guard that perimeter. And if Brunson, if he could play that game that he did Friday, where he don't force it, like we know you're struggling, but it's gonna come. So if he could just, don't force the issue, and just play his game. We don't need a ton of threes. If it's not falling, I you know, that's a leverage for them, a one up on them. But they have to also their bench. Indiana, they play. They can go sometimes 6, 7 deep with their bench, so that gives
Yeah,
their starters fresh legs. So, and unfortunately, we don't have a bench as deep as them because the injuries. But um, that's why they have to share that ball because Indiana can throw their bench in, which I think so. They have to just be mindful that Deuce, if he doesn't play, then that definitely depletes your bench. So there's a lot of things that those starters are going to have to make up for because of the guys that aren't available. Deuce may not be available. So I think like it's imperative that the starters get off to a good start, um, so they don't have to play catch up with the Pacers. So I think that's definitely vitally important. Um, and again, you gotta box out. Indiana, they're pretty, semi decent, rebounding team. Miles Turner, he could, give you a double and rebounds, and just like their other guys. So I think those are definitely keys for them getting off to like a good start and potentially winning this game. And it's a winnable game. So I think that's important. I know uh Lady in the Chef, she must have got knocked out.
I'm
Um
here.
oh, okay.
I'm
Yeah, so,
here. It's I don't know what happened to my camera, but I'm here.
yeah. I don't see you. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what you think is keys for them?
Yeah, I think for sure the ball movement has to be there. I want to see them have good ball movement. I want to see them be able to, play that unselfish basketball, move the ball, make the extra pass if you need to. Um, I want to see Brunson, like I said earlier, have that balance of being able to score and also facilitate the ball. So I want to see Brunson, you know, setting guys up, to score. Like his points is gonna come. We know that you could score,
Yeah.
Brunson. Just start using that two-man game and high pick and roll with you and Cat. I want to see that. I want to see him getting OG the ball. What's his name? Mikal Bridges the ball. Deuce, if he does play, get him the ball. So I want to see that extra um contributions of him like facilitating and setting other guys up on his team and just not forcing it. If you're off Brunson offensively, there's other things that you could do to contribute to us getting the win tonight. Continue to play defense, you know what I mean? Continue to get your assist up. There's nothing wrong with that. We know at the same time you can give 15 to 20 points. We don't need you to give 35, 45 plus points every night.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's not needed. Just being able to facilitate the ball and get guys the ball is sometimes all that you need. And I want to see Carl Anthony Town, which I think he does so great, is just, you know, he does an excellent job of being patient. He's not forcing guys to, uh, try to play him defensively. He takes his time on what shots he wants to make. So I never see him allow the defense rush him or make him slow down too much, which I love a lot. So I just want to see them. I want to see him and other guys attack the paint as well. I don't want to see us just settling for 3-point shots. I want to see guys attack the paint, get them in foul trouble. Get them in foul trouble. It's okay to get guys in foul trouble. Exploit them on their defense. And I just want to see guys, like you said, come out to a quick start. You don't
Yeah.
gotta wait till the second or the third quarter to try to pick up the energy. Start it from the jump ball. I want to see top tier energy and effort. I want to see guys running the floor, quick, sharp passes, smart decisions. And yeah, I want to see, Mikel and OG get involved early, both defensively and offensively, and get some stops. Come out with that intensity like you did against Milwaukee on Friday, and show that we're gonna go on a 2-game win streak. I don't want to see the Knicks win 1 or 2 and then you drop 2 or 3 games. They have to stay consistent. The consistency needs to be there.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, we'll see. And then hopefully with this game, I'll say with Friday starting, there'll be this continuation of trust, and we'll see Tibbs be able to get more guys into the game. So,
Yeah, I agree with you. There's some
and
good.
also I want to see the Knicks establish that they can be a good road team as well, because I
Yeah,
don't think the Knicks have proven that yet that they're a good road team because it's still so early in the season. But I want to see them prove that they can be good, not just at home, but on the road as well. So, yeah,
Yeah, because they did come away 2-2. So
yeah, exactly. And I know, you mentioned if Deuce doesn't play, we don't really have a bench. And it does suck because I was reading that with Precious, he hasn't even started back training yet. So
mm,
he's coming along, they said, in his recovery, but he hasn't started training. And then, Campaign is still out with the hamstring injury. And then you have Mitchell Robinson, who we haven't really heard much about as far as what's the status of Mitch.
yeah,
So, I don't know. I just think that we have to see. But with Indiana having so many injuries and guys who are projected to be out tonight, the Knicks should be able to handle business. And I think the Knicks should end this off on a good note and be able to handle business because the Knicks, after tonight's game, they play on Tuesday. They start the first round matchup of the in-season tournament against Philly,
hmm,
and then they play on Wednesday against Chicago. So yeah, I want to see the Knicks start rounding up some wins, some consistent wins. And yeah, I don't know. I guess let me see if we can count the. Okay, so the Knicks play tonight against Indiana. They play Tuesday, which is the first round matchup against Philly. They play again on Wednesday, so they're playing a back to back. They're playing Wednesday against Chicago, and then they play again on Friday against Brooklyn, which is the second game um, of the NBA in season tournament.
hmm,
So I guess we could go as far as your predictions for the next, what, 4 games?
yeah. I would, I'm definitely going for no because when I look at, just overall, like where, not so much as where these teams stand and just as far as, yeah, we're banged up, they're pretty banged up as well. So, and I think the Knicks can, still exploit, these guys. Brooklyn's going to be a tough game. Campaign is, balling. Um, but I'm still gonna go. I'm gonna go 4-0. I think.
Wow.
Well, but I think Chicago is gonna give them the most problems. So I'm gonna, I'm gonna switch that to, I'm going 4-0. Ain't nobody gonna, nope, ain't nobody gonna sway me. Wow. Yep.
All
Why you say
right.
wow? What? Who?
I
What?
mean, I have the Knicks. I have them 3-1
And
because
which
I'm
one?
not sure between Philly or either. I think it's questionable between the Sixers, Chicago, or Brooklyn because I don't know why. Like Detroit, whenever we play Brooklyn, the games are always so close, and the Knicks just, I don't know, they can't never really pull away from Brooklyn. And if they do, it's like late in the fourth, and then they finally are able to pull away. But usually those games against Brooklyn are close. And then I don't know with the Sixers, I'm sure they're still salty about what happened last year in the first round. So I'm not sure as far as everything goes with Philly. And then Chicago, yeah, I'm still kind of like, I don't know. Chicago is definitely having, the 76ers have been struggling, but I don't like to sleep on any team. Chicago's sitting at seventh, they're 4-6 as well. And then Brooklyn is in ninth. So right now the standings is kind of looking like how it did last year in the East when we were getting closer to the playoffs. And it was like that fourth or fifth through eighth was close. And that's
Okay.
how it looks right now. So I don't know. I think I'm going 3-1. 3-1 because I do want to see the Knicks start to stack up some wins and um, you know, get some wins under their belt and exploit teams early and also continue to work on getting better defensively and using that as a catalyst on top of their what they can do offensively to start beating some teams. I want to see more consistency from this Knicks team. And again, I'm not gonna go too hard until we get to about that 25, maybe 30 game mark. But I
Yeah,
want to see them working, continue to work on the kinks now while it's still early in the season, but figure out how to beat these teams and get themselves on a roll early. So I got them 3-1. I'm not sure where the one drops, like I said, because it can be,
Yeah,
it can be,
I feel you because Embiid is expected. That's when he's expected to come up that 3 game suspension, so he's going to be available for that game. And we know the history between Philly and New York, so I think Philly's going to give him. I would say probably the most fight for a win, but I'm still going to go for him. Although the Bulls, they're like four and what's the Bulls 4-6? So but I'm still
yeah,
gonna, yeah. And they came back from that Hawks game. So, but yeah, I'm still gonna go 4-0 only because when I look at even the matchup, I think Brunson he knows. Then we know Uber is gonna be the task with guarding him, but I just but he knows how Ube plays him, so he's definitely gonna have that figured out, and if not, he better figure it out.
yeah, yeah. I want to see the Knicks handle business tonight, so this way the starters could sit down and rest. Being that, this week we do have a back-to-back Tuesday and Wednesday game, and then the Knicks play again on Friday, and then they play next Sunday as well. So the games are starting to come in hot. They're starting to, build up and play back-to-back games. So I do want to see, guys handle their business and put teams away. Put your put your mark out there in the East early and let teams know, what it is. So yeah, I got the Knicks 3-1 for the next few games for this upcoming week, and then we'll see. We'll see. We'll be back on. Well, I'll be on tomorrow on the Queen's Court. Shout out to Steph, aka Queen, Jeff, and Tony Crow. We'll be on tomorrow evening at what time will we be on? Oh, well, the Knicks are not playing, so we'll be on at 7:30 tomorrow, and then we'll be back on Thursday to recap the next few games, and then we'll be back on Sunday. So yeah, check us out tomorrow on the Queen's Court, 7:30 p.m. with Tony Crow, Jeff Clafter, and Queen and myself. We'll be breaking down this game against the Pacers, and then I'm sure recapping the upcoming game on Tuesday against Philadelphia. And yeah, look out for I'm sure Steph will have a show also tomorrow around lunchtime to give you a recap of tonight's game.
Yeah,
And Tony Crow, I do believe he's also on tomorrow. I think he goes on at 1 on Mondays. I have to like get it so I can put it in my notes. So yeah, yeah, it's not. This is not their year. It's not their year. It's just I've given up on them this year, and then I shouldn't do that, but it's just not. I have to focus on the Knicks. I can't allow that heavyweight of the Giants not doing well. I just came off of a high with the New York Liberty. I don't want to be brought back down. I need to stay up. I'm not going too high or too low with the Knicks. I'm staying focused and till we get to the end goal, but I can't go there with the Giants. I just can't watch them. And shout out to Jarrell, diehard Giants podcast, who does the recaps and the pre games. I don't even know how you do it, Jarrell. But yeah, I don't even think you're like paying attention to the Giants, and you're a huge Giants fan because it's
no,
just not working out this year.
it's not because anytime you go when you do the same thing, you get the same results, and this is the outcome. They refuse to get rid of Jones. They still rocking with him. So hey, this is the end result for him.
Exactly.
Asinine.
So yeah. But yeah, we'll see. I do want to see, like I said, I want to see the Knicks go up early in this game, maintain the lead, and I want to see the rookies get a shot tonight. I want to see Daddy A, Huck Porty, Ryan. I would like to see Ryan get some minutes as well, and Kolek. So I would like to see them get some minutes. I want to see Sims minutes, which is probably not because they're going to want him for rebounding tonight. But I don't think Sims needs 16 minutes. Give him 12. Give Huck Porty those other 3 to 5 minutes. But I don't think he needs 16 every night. So I get it. He's, you know, playing because of circumstance. Mitchell Robinson is out, but I don't need to see him playing 16 minutes. So we'll see. Let's believe in the Knicks, Dorkosaurus Rex. They can beat teams on their home floor. Every team is beatable. And the Knicks should be able to handle business in Indiana tonight. They're not necessarily doing the best. Are they going to look to get revenge after the Knicks smacked them the first time? Absolutely. But the Knicks need to put their mark and stamp on teams early and prove that they can beat them. And it's only going to get tougher from here. This is like we're just grazing the list of games by playing Eastern Conference teams. So it's only going to get harder once you start facing those Western Conference teams. And this is why I say the Knicks need to work on getting better each game, because you have to figure out how to beat teams like Cleveland and Boston. You have to figure out how to beat them.
Yeah.
You can't go this whole season and only beat them once. That was the issue we had with Boston last year. Couldn't figure out how to beat them. So you have to figure out how to beat those other teams. It's clearly they're beatable. Boston lost 2 games already. And Cleveland almost lost to Golden State. Almost. But they figured out a formula like Boston. The Knicks is on their way to figuring out that formula as well. So salute to the chat. I see a lot of you in the chat today. I appreciate you guys for rocking with us today, as always. Salute to Cully, David Smith, TJ Honablu, Hit 'em Up, Cully, Nostalgic Knicks. Who else is in here? I saw a few other people in here. Dorkosaurus Rex. So like a really clever David Smith. If I'm repeating your name, it's because I'm flying through it fast. Yeah, and salute to those of you who are not in the chat with us live or checking us out. We appreciate you. And shout out to the replay gang for those of you who watch us after we're live. We appreciate you. We check our analytics. So we see who's watching, and YouTube does an excellent job of breaking that down. And, we appreciate you guys for watching. Hit the like button. It does help us get to the algorithm so other people can find us. And thank you for watching today, guys. We appreciate it. Well, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I haven't heard anything about Steph not going on tomorrow. I saw someone put that. I think it was Hit 'em Up in the chat. So she's very good with communicating with us. So if there is any changes, I'm sure one of us most likely host. So I don't think the show is canceled, but if it is, if anything, I'll do a show, to cover up for that before we could go on Thursday. So Cleveland beat the Warriors by 40. They lost by 40.
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a close game. I must have been I'm confusing it with another game. I thought it was where am I getting that from? I must be confusing it with another game.
Yeah, they only beat somebody. No, it was the Warriors. They only beat them by 2, right? They was up, but then the Warriors came back. No. Yeah, I think. Yeah. It was another game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I must be confusing it with another game because I'm like I thought that was a close game, but That's why we appreciate y'all in the chat, because y'all can let us know. Oh, salute to Elliot Bellin. He said it was the Nets game.
Oh yeah, yeah. I knew somebody gave them a run for their money.
Yeah, exactly. And it was weird too, because that game, the Nets was just, I can't even describe it how they was playing. It just, I don't know. I think it was a lack of defense on the Nets, but I don't know. I was just like, why can't the Knicks do this?
Yeah, the Nets they was 100, 105. And actually no, the Warriors, that game was 117, 136. So there was, they did crawl back, but then Cleveland went on a tear, went on
On a run? Yeah.
another run. Oh, and that was that Milwaukee. I knew it was somebody they only beat by two. That was the Bucks. That was a good game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one. Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
David Smith said Cleveland is good, but I think the Knicks are certainly better. I agree. I agree. But I do think that Cleveland figured out the formula like Boston did last year.
And
And
and and
the
not just
Boston's keeping the formula this season,
yeah.
and it's okay if you lose a couple of games, but I think that Cleveland has figured out the um the formula too. And those of you who just joined, I'm not trying to not be on camera. I clicked something and it knocked me out, but I'm still here. I don't know. I don't want to do something and knock the whole live out. So that's why you don't see my face. But trust, I'm definitely not anti-camera. I don't know what happened. I can see my camera's on, but for some reason it booted me. I think it was the live streaming. But yeah, what were you gonna say just
No,
now?
I was just saying, like sometimes also the coach, they got a different coach, and they seem to responded to Atkinson. So, coaches, they all have their own different schemes, and so it's possibly what the coach is running, and not just that. Garland and Mitchell, they figured out because remember last year, I think last season was like the talk that they can't coexist on the floor.
Hmm.
They just figured it out. That will come with the Knicks. Their new team, once they figure that out and start, the more they play and gel together, I the it's just a matter for them to go on like this tear because they capable of going on, these string of wins, the Knicks. So I think once that, is figured out, again, they establish like these roles because of, their previous, experience on other teams, the Knicks will be right up there with them. So I think that's my prediction for the Knicks that they're gonna string some wins together. It's just a matter of them just all figuring out and getting comfortable with each other. You know Minimizing like their turnovers because that results from just guys not reading certain things. I believe that they'll be up there as well. Oh yeah, somebody said, oh, I was just able to go on. It said Cleveland got our assistant Johnny Bryant. Wow. Also, I like their coach. Yeah, Atkinson a lot. I wanted Atkinson to coach Knicks for the longest. Yeah, yeah, that's true. We do have our assistant, but you know what? The Knicks will figure things out.
Yeah, the Knicks have to figure things out. The coaching staff is under pressure this year. You have to get out of the second round. The Knicks have proven that they can get to the first round. The Knicks have proven they can get to the second round. They need to prove they can get out of the second round, though. Like, we know you can get there, but you got to prove that you can beat those teams that you're facing up against in the second round and you can get out of it. So, you know, there's no lost hope for me on my end as far as Thibodeau and what he can do for this team. Tibbs is known as the coach who can bring teams to the next level, but Tibbs hasn't proven as a coach that he can win championships.
At all, yeah.
So that's the difference. He's proven as a coach that he can bring teams from a lower level to a better level, but he hasn't proven that he can win championships with teams. And Thibodeau has to figure out a way to get teams to the next level. And there's this pressure on Tibbs. You got an extension, you with the Knicks. The Knicks front office, Leon Rose, gave Tibbs what he needs, because Tibbs felt like, I don't have all the tools that I need to get to the next level. Okay, well, they did that. It started last year when they got rid of RJ and they got rid of Quickly. They brought in OG. Okay, you wasn't able to keep iHeart. You brought in Carl Anthony Towns. You brought in Mikel. So he has the players, but now you have to figure out how to get this team to the next level. Have the Knicks gotten better? Yes, but the Knicks get to the next level. So there's pressure from the front office and there's pressure on the players too. So yes, not everybody. There are some new faces here on this Knicks team, so they have to figure out how to gel and play together. And they will. I agree with you. They will figure out and pull out some strings and have some really strong months. And I think some months when you don't have good months, they can't be horrible months. They can be okay, but you still got to keep yourself in the running. You got to keep yourself in the running, because you don't want to be a team where you land in 6th, 7th, 5th. You don't really want to get there, because you make it harder for yourself. I don't listen. Either way, wherever you land, hopefully it's no higher than 4th. You're ready to compete. You're healthy, one, but you're ready to compete in that first round and you're ready to compete in that second round. And not just compete, but win and beat those teams in the first round and the second round. I thought last year in the first round against Philadelphia, that was one of the best entertaining first rounds.
Oh, yeah.
Teams in the first round. It was competitive. It was entertaining. It was good. It was a well-fought win, considering all the injuries the Knicks had. I thought the second round, the Knicks looked like they ran out of gas from playing all them damn minutes throughout the regular season. So the Knicks have to figure out, and this is why I say Tibbs can't just be, I'm going to do a 7-8 man rotation. It's not going to be sustainable. I don't care even when Mitch and Precious come back. That's not sustainable. So this Knicks team, there's pressure from the front office to the coaching staff and on the players. You got to get past the second round. You got to get better. We know that you can make the playoffs. We know that you can get to the first round. We know you get to the second round. And I think also the Knicks need to try to win more than 50 wins. Get better. The goal is to get better each year. It takes championships teams time to win a championship, but you got to get better. Being complacent and just saying, okay, yeah, this is like, nah, you got to get better at being able to become a better team each season. So this Knicks team they can get better, and I just think that I'm also looking for, aside from the players, I'm looking at what Tibbs is going to do from a coach's standpoint to make those adjustments.
Yeah.
Not even just in-game adjustments, but plays and showing teams something different. Okay, we played, I'm just using as an example. If we played Boston 2 times, okay, what are you going to do differently that third and fourth matchup against that team? Because you play each team at least 4 or 5 times. So what are you going to do differently as the coach to present to that team that you could show a different scheme out on the floor or run something different, or maybe try this person in a lineup with someone else? You got to come with something different. The same old regime is not going to work. Switch it up. Take a risk. Build the trust as a coach. And I'm hoping that we see that with Tibbs. I really do. Salute to Dorcosaurus. Roxy said Matt Ryan will be extra motivated for New York City because he's in New York. Yeah, he's from Westchester County, New Rochelle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good to see him there. Salute to Coach Sarr, always showing love. Salute to Tony Crow, Knicks and Bruises. We was just talking about you, Tony. We was just talking about you on the Queen's Court and talking about your show. Salute to Tony Crow, Knicks and Bruises, great show. He also does the he's on with the Losers Lounge. So You know, when they may have a losers lounge tonight. Once the Knicks win, if Tony goes on, he's usually on with Simeon Russell, who's the founder of Nothing But Knicks, and they go on excellent content. Tony always has good questions too. Hit that like button. Heard the man. Hit the like button, guys. He said if Tibbs puts in Sims 15 minutes tonight, I'm trying him at the Hogue. I mean, I think Sims is gonna get about 15, 16 minutes because he's gonna want the height and the body to be able to compete in the paint, to be to help out, you know, gathering those boards. But you know, it is what it is. I don't think Sims minutes is gonna go down just yet. So I think it should go down from 16 to maybe 12 and try Huck Porty at those 5 minutes, 6 minutes and give him a little try and see what he can do, but we'll see. Young flexible coach versus old stubborn coach. Yeah. Tibbs is stuck in his old ways. And that's what it is with Tibbs. He's stuck in an older way of coaching. And don't get me wrong, I think Tibbs is a good coach, but Tibbs, I don't care what sport you coach. You can bring a team, a lousy team, to a better standpoint, but the end goal is a championship. Yeah. Tibbs has to prove as a coach with his tenure in this league that he can bring, and he has the floor. He's more than capable of bringing this Knicks team to a championship, but he has to prove he can go there. So that's where I think being more flexible and easing out of some of your old stubborn old ways can help you in the long run to help this team win. So we'll see. Salute to Nostalgic Nick. He said, this show is great. We appreciate you. David Smith said, Tibbs has a losing career playoff record and has never made NBA finals, let alone win one. Second record exists, no longer acceptable. Second record exits, no longer acceptable. Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I mean with Tibbs. And I know there was some question with Tibbs. Some people didn't think that maybe some Knicks fans didn't feel like Tibbs should be extended. They wanted to see a different look. I mean, he's here now. There's nothing we can do. You know, we just have to trust the process and hope that this Knicks team, they were right there last year against Indiana. That they can, and listen, the East, I said the East can potentially be better this season. It's too early to call that. Is it possible? Yes. But right now, the West is looking a lot better. So I don't know. I think that we'll see how this season goes. And, you know, like I said, there's pressure on Tibbs, though, to get this team to the next level. So first, second round is not good enough. Front office or owners want to see more. And we got to get a championship here. It's been too long. If the New York Liberty, it took them 28 years. The Knicks has been over 50 years. So how long should we wait? 75 years? So we'll see. Shout out to everybody for joining us. I'll see you all tomorrow on the Queen's Court. Everybody have a really beautiful week. Stay safe out there. I know we have the forest fires going on here in New Jersey. They're happening in Brooklyn, Staten Island, Connecticut. So hopefully we get that rain later. But be safe, everybody. Have a beautiful week. Let's go Knicks. And yeah, let's hope this Knicks team pull out this win tonight. They're more than capable with the injury reports. Yeah, they're gonna pull out the win because Indiana has a lot of injuries. That doesn't mean anything, but we've already proven we're the better team, and we proved that even last year. We just lost gas with all the injuries and guys playing high minutes. So I will see you all tomorrow. Diva Locks will see you all on Thursday. Anything else before we get out of here?
Nah, let's go Knicks. I got you 4-0 this week.
Peace, everybody.